Hello everyone, Alec Eldridge the SideQuest Gamer here. How many Sonic fans does it take to screw in a light bulb? 2. One to screw in the light bulb, and the other to say that the old light bulb was much better than the new one. Ah yes, Sonic fans. This video has been a long time coming, and since I'm doing a review marathon of the classic Sonic games, the comments section is going to be filled with irrational Sonic fans that hunt down YouTube channels like mine and verbally harass me without elaborating as to why this game sucks or that game is the bestest Sonic game ever. Say a certain Sonic game is good or bad, a Sonic fanboy would say, "No, your opinion is wrong, and this is actually better than your favorite Sonic game because it's so good I don't have to explain it." Meanwhile, after putting hours and hours into editing and writing that video, elaborating as to why I like this Sonic game or don't like this Sonic game, a Sonic fan would invest only seconds into a little comment telling me I'm wrong and don't bother as to explain why my opinion is supposedly wrong. Folks, that is the Sonic fanbase, one of the internet's oldest and most infamous fanbases of all time. They're such a bad fanbase. Look what happened when I just typed in Sonic fans on the Google search bar. For over 20 years, the Sonic fanboys have plagued internet forums and social media websites with their nostalgia-goggled mindset where any Sonic game that came after their childhood favorites sucks, regardless of high quality.
Stop hating on Sonic for no reason!
They also complain and complain about all the new and upcoming releases, like when Sonic Lost World was announced, the fanboys complained it was ripping off Super Mario Galaxy, even though the game was vastly different upon release. But did Sonic fanboys care? No. The game did borrow some elements, but it didn't play like Galaxy, nor did it feel like Super Mario Galaxy. In fact, speaking of Sonic Lost World, all of my favorite YouTube gamers dismissed Sonic Lost World as garbage, well except for Exo Paradigm Gamers and the Retro Replay, who took it for what it was and were indifferent to it. Sonic Lost World got mediocre to low scores by the video game magazines and websites that were either run by nostalgia-blind classic-era Sonic fans, or critics who were not bribed by Sega and therefore gave the game a low score. And the Sonic fanboys? Oh boy. They tore this game apart like there was no middle ground. I mean, the game isn't masterfully crafted like Generations or Colors, but for what it was, it did a decent job as a Sonic game. But even when Sega tries to be a traditional, bare-bones story with Sonic gameplay brought into 3D type of Sonic game, all the Dreamcast-era Sonic fans squealed like pigs during mating season, shouting that it sucked because it wasn't like Adventure 2.
This 3D Sonic game sucks because it wasn't like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. That was like the bestest Sonic game ever.
Yeah. But remember when Sonic tried to be story heavy like Sonic Adventure 2 in the game Sonic 06? Ha! Yeah, it didn't work out too well, and both classic era Sonic fans and Dreamcast era Sonic fans hated it. Of course, that game failed in almost every aspect except for graphics. But the point is, give Dreamcast era a story-heavy Sonic game, and they hate it. Give classic era Sonic fans a 2D Sonic game like Sonic the Hedgehog 4, they hate it. That's weird because basically the classic era Sonic fans want a simple Sonic game in 2D with hardly any story elements, but the Dreamcast era Sonic fans want a 3D Sonic game with a lot of story elements. So it's hard to make the perfect balance of those two elements to please all Sonic fans. So Sega released Sonic Generations, which is by far one of the best Sonic games ever made in my opinion, and while some fans enjoyed it, the purists still found things to complain about. And this game mixed classic 2D and modern 3D gameplay in one fantastic Sonic game where the story wasn't compelling, but it existed. And it wasn't too distracting from the fantastic gameplay. See how unreasonable the Sonic fanbase can be? Sega made the answer to all the fans' prayers, and the game is nearly perfect, yet the fans don't deem it as perfect for whatever reason, like Sonic's eye color is green, and not the traditional cartoony black, or it doesn't play like the Dreamcast games, or they hated how all the stages were remade. And you know what the sad thing is? It's not even Sega's fault. Sure, there's a few less than stellar Sonic games in the recent years like Sonic 06, but fans forget that Sonic Labyrinth existed, and that was not that great either. And that was released back when Sonic was good. Now here's the biggest thing. Fans hated Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric for the Wii U, and yes, while the game wasn't great, it was a tie-in game to a TV show, Sonic Boom, so it wasn't meant to have high quality in the first place. To me, Rise of Lyric is the equivalent to like Iron Man 2 the game, or Captain Planet the game. They were low-budget tie-in games that were meant only to capitalize on the success of the show or movie. But did I hear comic book fans or 90s kids complain a lot about those games? No! If you buy a tie-in game, you know what you're getting into, and they knew what they were getting into. It didn't ruin their enjoyment of the Iron Man comic franchise or the many episodes of Captain Planet. But Sonic fans wouldn't let it go. They said, Rise of Lyric ruined the Sonic franchise forever. Rise of Lyric wasn't even made by Sonic Team. It was made by Big Red Button, a company composed by ex-Naughty Dog employees. But why do you think they're not with Naughty Dog anymore? We don't know if they left Naughty Dog because they were fired or quit or other reasons, but it wasn't even made by Sonic Team. In conclusion, not all Sonic fans are bad. I'm a Sonic fan and I don't plague forums with my uninvited opinion. I do that on my own YouTube channel or Twitter. But there's those few Sonic fans that ruin it for the rest of us and bring stereotypes to the group. I am not a classic era Sonic fan, nor Dreamcast era Sonic fan, nor modern era Sonic fan. I just like any high quality game in the Sonic franchise that comes out, and while I would put the originals high on my list, that doesn't mean Sonic and the Genesis era was good, since 3D Blast, Sonic Drift, and Spinball were just okay. But then there's games like Sonic Labyrinth, which came around the same time, which are not that good, and that was in the Classics era. No era of Sonic games was perfect. You can put as much artificial sweetener in your nostalgia coffee, and it wouldn't change the fact that every era had their ups and downs in terms of the Sonic franchise. Even in the dark ages of the Sonic franchises, which started from Shadow the Hedgehog to Sonic and the Black Knight, there were a few hidden gems like Sonic Rush and its sequel for the DS. And if you were a fan of the classics that didn't like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle or Sonic Heroes, you could always play the Sonic Advance trilogy on the Game Boy Advance. So really, it's not Sonic, it's the fanboys. So, dear Sonic fanboys, take each game for what it is. Because nowadays, it seems like when Sonic is good, the fans ignore it. But when Sonic makes a slight hiccup, then they come pouring in the forums and social media websites chanting that Sonic is bad and will never be good again. It's like the Sonic fanbase is a cult or religion where it's forbidden to say when Sonic had a really good game come out recently, and that only those who say Sonic is terrible compared to the old days will then find their inner peace and unlock the meaning of their lives, the universe, and everything. And anyone who doesn't like their sacred nostalgic Sonic games from their childhood must be eliminated because you're not a true Sonic fan unless you do so. Yup. I just figured out the Sonic fanbase. It's a cult. Tell your friends and your family to lock their windows and doors because the Sonic fans are still around just as they were 15 years ago in the days of HTML2 internet forums. If you come across a Sonic fanboy, do not make eye contact with them, do not feed them, do not acknowledge their existence, and they'll eventually go away. And that's my 2 cents on the Sonic fanbase. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay awesome.
By Sonic the Hedgehog, too fast for the naked eye. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, he can really move. Sonic, he's got an